You've got big projects to tackle, but your day gets swallowed up by repetitive tasks and constant inquiries. It's hard to make progress when you're stuck putting out fires. That's where Element 451's AI assistants come in. Acting like an extra set of hands, you get your time back for the high-impact projects. Ready to reclaim your time? Visit element451.com/AI team to learn more.
Hi, I'm a higher ed social media manager, and I have a confession. I thought managing flagship social media channels at a Division I school with a strong athletics program would be a piece of cake. Turns out I was wrong. My guest today is Chloe Calvert, who is the social media coordinator at the University of Georgia. And I've learned we face some very similar challenges as a social media manager. Welcome to Confessions of a Higher Ed Social Media Manager, a podcast that addresses the do's, don'ts, and dynamics of the digital ecosystem specific to higher education. I'm your host, Li Fowler. Join me every other week for discussions with some of the best minds in higher education social media management and marketing. Confessions of a Higher Ed Social Media Manager is a part of the Enrollify network, a robust collection of podcasts designed to help higher education professionals like you grow. Explore our other shows at enrollify.org or check out some of my personal favorites linked in the show notes below. Enrollify is made possible by Element 451, the leading AI-powered all-in-one student engagement platform helping institutions create meaningful, personalized, and engaging interactions with students. Learn more at element451.com. Hi, Chloe. Welcome to the podcast.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. It's been such a pleasure to get to know you, and I'm excited for the audience to get to know you. Chloe, you're the first person I've ever met that has like a degree in social media management. Would you say that it's helped you get to where you are now?
I would. So I have a Bachelor of Science in Communications with a dual degree certificate in social media from Texas A&M. And every time I say that, people are like, you can get a degree in that now. And if you're at the right place, you can.
You can, yeah.
I credit that program with a lot of the applications I put into my work now, with the case studies we went over and the analyses we were taught on all of our metrics and analytics. Jonathan Guajardo was an incredible professor there who really just let us get into social and have these huge, wide range discussions on small mom and pop shop brands to the big corporations that we all know and love, and their social presences, the Wendy's and the Duolingos, and talking about the merit of those. And it was a great program that I learned so much from, that I continuously draw from in my current job in social media.
I love that. I love applying what you actually learn in your day-to-day workflow. I think that's amazing. Well, okay, so Chloe, I really believed running a flagship social media channel for a university with a strong athletics program would be easy, but I've learned from you that it has its own set of challenges. And yeah, it's really made me rethink that. So can you tell us more about running a flagship, program at University of Georgia?
Yes. Let me give some context there. So obviously, athletics and the university run completely independent of each other. Athletics has their own social team, their own marketing communications office.
Mm-hmm.
They have people who run their main athletics accounts, and then they have individual people who run a lot of their smaller sports-specific accounts. So football, soccer, volleyball. So they have a huge team. And we work pretty independently of each other. Their focus is all athletics. And then over on the flagship side of things, the university side of things, we have the main account that myself and my counterpart, Jamie Lewis, run. And then we have all of our departments and colleges who have comms people who kind of run their accounts. And we're not a centralized marketing office here.
Yeah, a lot of us are
And
not.
a lot of us are not. We are seeing that trend, though. It's interesting to see how that works out for some of the larger universities adopting that. But so that's kind of how the current workflow is. And I think, yes, there is the misconception of, oh, well, you run social media at a university who has 2 back-to-back national championships. It must be so easy for you. And I do recognize the privilege that we have in that. That does boost our numbers. It boosts the views we're getting. It also boosts morale amongst our students and our alumni and our fans. It makes them want to engage with us more. And so there is kind of that privilege there. However, University of Georgia is so much more than an athletic school. We're so much more than a football school. We're known as like that kind of like Southern SEC school. But what a lot of people don't know is that we are an R1 research institution and we are a top tier institution. We're incredibly competitive to get into. We have one of the top honors programs in public schools. We have a huge undergraduate research program here, incredible faculty and staff here. And the other big thing is we have a really unique program here called experiential learning, where we really emphasize active and hands-on learning for our students. And they are provided with some of the top study abroad resources, internship resources. But a lot of that falls on the wayside because it's not as cool as football.
Oh, so it's overshadowed a little bit.
It is.
Yeah.
So that's where our struggle is we really have to actually compete with ourselves on like, yes, we know we're cool and we're great at athletics and that's really fun, but also we're so much more than that. And we have incredible academics here that are winning and number one on the academic side. It's just not quite as glamorous as the athletic side of things.
No, it's so funny because you and I have a lot of the same concerns, except they mirror each other a little bit. Like, people will ask me, oh, MIT has athletics? And I'll say, yes. I mean, we are D3, we are D1 in rowing. Because we're right on the Charles River. It's a very prestigious and competitive program. But yeah, we have a lot of athletes and successful teams. But I feel you because people don't know that we have athletics. They think we're all labs and research. And so we kind of have a very similar
we definitely do.
challenge.
Mirrored.
Yeah, exactly. So fair. So you're focused more on the school's community apart from athletics. And you really want to feature your students, not just the athletes, right? Because they have their own marketing team that does that. So can you give us some examples of how you're doing this?
Yeah, so we really focused the last year or so on putting students at the center of the content. And we found that this applies to not just like our current students, but prospective students. It allows them to kind of see themselves here on campus, see what life would be like, the community aspect, the academic aspect. And we found that it caters to alumni who love to look back and think like, oh, that's where I studied, or that's where I was a part of this organization. And so putting students at the center of the content allows us to kind of tap into our broad audience of prospective current alumni and even just parents and fans that follow us. We found a lot of success in the fact that they see themselves reflected and they see their experiences reflected in real time as what we can do on social. And a great example of that is our Welcome Week content we kind of put together for this year. We had a jam-packed content calendar for Welcome Week, and we really wanted to focus on mirroring their experience in real time on social media. You understand all the programming that happens in that first couple of days before classes start, from move-in to classes. We keep them busy. We have lots of activities provided for them. And we really wanted that to be reflected on social. And it was a lot of late nights. We were at these events getting coverage. We were posting in real time. I definitely posted a reel like 11 o'clock at night one time. But they were able to see their experience reflected. Parents were able to see the experience their children were having reflected. Alumni are looking back on this of like, oh, I remember first night at UGA and all the excitement of moving in and you're going with your new roommates and you're meeting all these people. We have our prospective students who our applications are open. They're looking at our content and they're seeing this and being like, oh, I want to be here. And so it's so important for us to have that experience going in real time rather than just coming in on a Monday morning and doing, here's a weekend recap.
No,
And
it's true.
It doesn't quite hit the same.
Yeah.
And they're so much more likely to engage with it and comment and share it and talk about the experience they're having themselves if they're seeing us engage with them in that way.
Yeah.
So we found so much success with that. And one of the really specific pieces of content that we did that completely outperformed all of our expectations was a hidden camera video we did on the first day of school. We set up a microphone in one of our really high traffic areas in between our student center and learning center. And we had a camera hidden up on this big kind of breezeway walkway between the two buildings. And we just had what are your goals for the semester? And it was so fun to kind of watch it from a distance and see who's stopping and talking. And
so it's a camera not manned by anyone. Is that right?
So it is, but it's very far back. So a lot of them didn't know where the camera was. So we ended up cutting a blooper reel out of them being like, where's the camera? And some of them would find it. They'd wave to our
So there isn't a person there saying, it's just a sign.
It's just a sign.
A sign that said you're on candid camera.
Yes, pretty much.
Yeah.
It said, smile, you're on camera for UGA social. And then it said, tell us your goals for the semester. So they knew there was a camera somewhere. And so that's why we ended up cutting that blooper reels. There were so many of them who were like, where's the camera? And they're all looking around and trying to figure it out. And then they'd find it and wave to our videographer, Thomas. But the first edit of that video was, I think it was just really authentic. There's a lot of people talking about I want to keep my scholarships and I want to put myself out there more and join more organizations. Or we had a student say that he's an ecology major and he's like, I want to be friends with the turtles at the turtle pond. I want to spend more time at the turtle pond. And we could not have predicted the love for, everyone's calling him Turtle Boy now. But it's things like that that were just so unique and individual to all of these students who just saw the microphone and came up to speak to it. And it's gotten so much love. I mean, we're over 1 million views combined on TikTok and Instagram. I haven't even checked in this week to see what it's at. But we're having other universities comment. We're having brands comment. Georgia Aquarium said, hey, we know some turtles.
So good.
And so it tapped into that authentic experience of what they're feeling on their first day and them sharing those goals that just kind of resonated with people all over. And so things like that really bring kind of that community aspect around it of students seeing other students share kind of those goals at, the beginning of a new start, a new semester, that we have found so much success of community building in our comments, of people just coming together over that shared experience.
There's a couple of things I want to note. So one is that they didn't even mention, a lot of them didn't mention athletics, right? That turtles, whatever, their major, maybe got their sorority fraternity, right? Not athletics. And this is one of those things that I love about social, that you just go, I don't know, let's give it a try and see how it does, right? And so, and you said it surprised you. The engagement surprised you. And is it one of those things where I can almost see it, you in a room with your team saying, will this work? Can we just do this? Is that sort of how it happened?
That's pretty much exactly how it happened, except we were in a local coffee shop downtown.
Oh, even better. Even better.
It was us and our intern, and we were just asking her all. I mean, we were, poor thing, grilling her. We're like, would you like to see this kind of content? How would you feel about this kind of content? If you were a freshman and you saw this, what would that make you think or feel? What would you be more likely to engage with? We focus group with her all the time.
So smart. But you bought her a muffin and a coffee?
Oh, yeah, of course. Yep. And we sat down and we said, okay, so let's talk Welcome Week content. And she comes up with so many fantastic ideas. A lot of the content that's now coming out on our pages is kind of a mixture of ours and hers. And she is a phenomenal resource to us, not being current students, to kind of know, what are people talking about? What are people thinking as a current student? How do you feel when you see your university post these things? And so when I brought up that idea of well, what if we did a hidden mic or hidden camera video with a microphone She was like, oh, I love that. She's like, I think a lot of people would love that. And that was kind of the only thing we had to go off of. You know, we've seen those kind of style videos done in like New York where people like set up a microphone in Central Park.
Oh, right. Yeah.
But that's such a different, you know, now we're talking about doing it on a college campus. And it's not the viral man on the street style you see a lot now. Mm-hmm. This is just, no one's there to lead this conversation. It is just, you have to rely on people that they might be interested enough to go and say something. So we really weren't sure, like, are people going to stop? Are people going to say anything at all? So we kind of just took a risk. And we're like, well, if it flops, it flops. We don't have to post it. And if it does well, we'll put it up and just see.
Yeah, it's totally true. You don't have to post it if, you know, and it really took like the man-hours of the camera person, right? Mm-hmm. And how long did you have them at that spot?
I think from setup to take down, we were probably there not even 2 hours, hour and a half. We timed it with class change.
Amazing. Oh, that's amazing.
So we went for high volume in a short period of time. We timed it with class change. We told a couple of our like student ambassadors, like, hey, we're doing this at this time. Like, tell your friends. So like, don't be afraid if you see a microphone. And we had a few of them come. And then a lot of it was just people who saw the microphone, read the sign, and decided to stop and share their goals.
I love that. And I second the idea of a blooper reel. We've done something similar, and those are so popular. I think it's because, it's because it's really authentic. I mean, you know, you didn't make that stuff up, right? And that's
can't script that.
No, and that's where those really funny sort of moments come. You'll have to let me know if there's any continuation to the Turtle Boy.
Well, we did. We
did. Okay.
We did. I think we got it together in like 48 hours. We're like, we're going to the Turtle Pond. And he was the one that came to us and he was like, I feel like we have to do a follow-up. And we're like, let's do it. So we went to the Turtle Pond. We're like, do you have any ideas? He's like, I think I'm just going to talk to them. And we're like, okay. So we mic'd him up and he full on just had a conversation with the turtles, talked to them. And so we posted the follow-up video, which is done so well. People being like, we need more of this, more turtle series. And so it's definitely an opportunity for us, especially he's an ecology major, and that is one of the smaller departments on campus, not as well represented. It's definitely an opportunity for us to shed some light there. And who knows, maybe that'll be a collab with Georgia Aquarium on the horizon.
That's great. That's great. Because this all came out organically. So I loved it. And it sounds like people found him endearing. Right?
Very much so. He was just like with the hidden camera video, we had no idea what he said in the microphone until we went to edit it. And then same with the turtle video, because we were shooting from so far back with the camera and he was mic'd up, we couldn't really hear what he was saying. So again, it wasn't until we went into editing that we were like listening to him talk to the turtles. And we're like, oh my gosh, like this is so good. Like at one point he just like sings the fight song to them. And it's and none of it's scripted.
Right.
None of it was just him. And we just let him do his thing. And it's one of those like kind of unicorn moments where you're like, ooh, this is like, I couldn't have planned for this. And it just worked out beyond all expectations.
Oh, I love well, we'll link. Can you share the links? So
yes,
we'll link
I definitely can.
The videos. That would be great. Okay. So clearly you have your own goals and priorities that you that you have with your channels, right? But it's not like you're completely ignoring the athletic success, right, of UGA. Can you talk about how you leverage it to create content for your own channels?
Definitely. So we would be silly not to, capitalize on the spotlight we get from athletics. And while athletics is not our priority, these are student athletes. So they're in these classes and they're working with professors and they're still attending this campus. And so an idea that was kind of born out of our office last year was pitched by my director and our creative director, Lisa and Leslie in our office, a campaign idea called Game Changers. And the entire concept was finding these students involved in the fall season, the football fall season. So not just these football players, but the student athletic trainers, the student equipment managers, the cheerleaders, the band, the baton twirlers, these students who are working so many hours to be a part of football season and contribute to the success of football season and what that vibe is on Saturdays, on game days. It's not just the football players. You have so many people who come together to make it what it is. And there's so many students involved with that. And so we kind of highlighted students from across that kind of wide range of involvement and really focused on their community involvement in our Athens and UGA community, and then their academic achievements, because a lot of them are excelling academically and are researching, and they're still finding the time to be there every Saturday. Not a lot of them, not just the home games, but even the away games, they're traveling. So that was a huge campaign for us, involved our incredible photography team who conceptualized a lot of those shoots to shoot these people in that kind of sports style. So like shooting an athletic trainer in that sports style photography. And I mean, our writers who profiled each of these students and took the time to tell their stories, and our creative designers, our graphic designers who did an incredible job giving them a beautiful treatment, our web developers who made incredible websites for them. And then from the publishing standpoint, social team, myself and Jamie, we were at every single shoot. We were talking to these students, finding ways to share their stories on social, because so much of the battle on social is like, click the link to read this story. And you can't trust people to click a link. And so many of these platforms don't want people to click a link either. They want people to stay on their page. They want people to stay in their platform. So we're like, how do we package all this up so that they don't have to click the link, but that they're getting everything they need right here? And so we found behind the scenes footage of the shoots, especially because the photography was so visually incredible. Andy, Dorothy, Peter, and Chamberlain all did an incredible job on the photography. So that behind the scenes aspect, the video of like kind of the making of the shoot itself did really well. And just by the social team being able to be there and talk to these students, we were able to kind of talk about other ideas to share their stories. One student, she did a time lapse of herself getting into costume and makeup for game day. She's on our Spike squad. So they're in like, you know, painted, and they have the shoulder pads, and they have these characters, and they're at the game like 4 hours before it even starts to get front row seats. And so being able to find those unique moments that are like really specific to that student and their experience, and find a visual way to tell that on social, it really paid off. That campaign was a huge success for us. One of our videos went viral. We had 1.4 million views on that. And that was our athletic trainer. And so many of the comments and the success of that video were other people being like, oh my gosh, I love seeing an athletic trainer getting like the sports treatment, getting like their kind of spotlight, because so much of the focus is the football players.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. That people forget about the fact that there's so many other people that come together to make this happen. And a lot of them are students. And so not only are they doing this, which is kind of a full-time job, but they're also in school and balancing their academics, and not just balancing it, but they're actually excelling academically. So that was kind of the whole pitch for this campaign. It did incredibly well. We won a gold award in case in the storytelling category for it, which was a huge kind of reward for all of the time and effort that we all put into it. It was a nice little moment there for all of us to be like, whoo, okay, it was worth it.
Oh, and yeah, it sounds like it was amazing. Okay, I have some follow-up questions.
Yeah.
You said, when you said photographers, you said what? Andy, Dorothy, Peter, Chamberlain, was that right?
Yeah.
That's like 4. Can you talk about your team? Are they all your direct reports, or what's the structure? Can you talk about the structure of your team?
So we very much kind of have an integrated approach. So the central office marketing of communications at University of Georgia, we obviously have our VP, and then we have our kind of directors, and we have 4 distinct teams. So we have our media relations team. They handle a lot of our writing, pitching, media stories, connecting experienced faculty with news who are looking for those kinds of resources.
So when you said writers, they're on that team?
It can be a little wonky. Some of them are from that team. And then some, we have the marketing and brand strategy team, which is the team that social falls on. That there's also our 2 web developers on that team. And then we also have a marketing analyst who is a lifesaver to all of us. And she is our data queen and she keeps us so informed on everything. It's amazing. And then we have our kind of 2 copywriters.
Okay.
And they primarily handled a lot of the writing of these pieces.
Okay.
Whereas our media relations writers do a lot of like our Georgia Magazine pieces. They do a lot of our UGA Today pieces.
Got it.
There is kind of some of that overlap, but our copywriters on brand strategy tend to do some of those more like student, like game changer stories.
So they're a part of your team. You're a part of that team. Yeah.
Yes, but everyone kind of works very integrated.
I love that.
And then we also have our creative design or creative services team, which is where we have 4 creative designers, so graphic designers. We have 4 photographers and we have 4 videographers. And that team's kind of led by our creative director. And then we have our more like HR business finance team who keep us all running and moving in the right direction. And then we have our project managers who keep us all on task and make sure that we are meeting deadlines.
Okay. I love. Hey, it's Jenny Li Fowler. Element 451 is hosting the AI Engage Summit on October 29th and 30th. This free virtual event features many of your favorite Enrollify creators and will explore AI's impact on student engagement, enrollment marketing, and institutional success. Learn to tap into AI to automate personalized outreach, improve your emails, streamline content creation, and boost campaign performance. Plus, hear directly from current students on how AI is influencing their engagement in campus life. The AI Engage Summit is your guide to understanding and applying AI at your school. Registration is free. Visit element451.com to save your spot. Now back to the show. I really loved how you broke that down and how familiar you are with all of these teams. And plus, but also it sounds like it's the central communications department who really put an effort into this primarily social first campaign. Amazing. I love that so much. So what I love about that is that it's the entire department, the central comms department that is getting involved and really working on this social first campaign. Did you find that a lot of the engagements were by students? Were your own students engaging with this campaign?
A lot of them were, and it did depend kind of per like which student it was. And so for like that athletic trainer example, like we did have a lot of student engagement, like herself, her friends were in the comments, but it tapped a whole pool of like niche athletic trainer Instagram that we had no idea existed, where they just like rallied around her and were so happy to see an athletic trainer kind of get that spotlight and kind of get that acknowledgement of like how hard they work and how kind of underappreciated they tend to be in the media. I know they're appreciated on the field, but in the media on TV, it's always the focus is the football team.
Sure.
And so I think that just resonated so deeply with that kind of broader community outside of our university that, I mean, gosh, we hit such a niche community there. It was insane. And the engagement was through the roof. I mean, again, I think that was 1.3 million, 1.4 million views on that video alone, just her. But we do profile at least 2 football players to kind of show, you know, their students as well as athletes. And they get some engagement of the more like fan-based community, the broader like football fan-based community. But a lot of our student profiles, they really resonate with the students. And I think there's that greater appreciation for the marching band who perform at halftime and they travel to these away games and they're doing all that while still doing discussion posts and taking exams and studying and being part of group projects. And so there's kind of that appreciation amongst their fellow students for the work they're putting into this fall season.
Yeah. And it just sounds like such quality content. I heard someone once say that students don't like to engage with content. And
I disagree.
I disagree. Yes. I was thinking, I don't think you're making content that they want to engage with. Right. Right.
Yes.
I think that
Yes.
you have to, it takes effort, but you have to make content they want to see. And when it is content they want to see, they will engage with it. Would you?
Exactly.
agree?
Totally. And same with that, like hidden camera video. I mean, we workshopped that with students. I mean, I rarely rely on my own ideas and won't run with them until I have fully fleshed them out with students. I mean, we focus group all the time with students. We focus group with our visitor center students who are kind of that first touch point, that face-to-face touch point of prospective students. What questions are they asking you? What do you see? What are some of the common themes or line of questioning you guys get? We talk to our orientation students all of the time, asking them, what are the questions parents are asking? What are the questions students are asking? What content do you see that you really like, that makes you feel like you belong on this campus, that makes you feel represented on this campus? Anytime we have a chance to talk to students, we always use that opportunity to kind of focus group and be like, what kind of content have you been seeing that you like? Are you seeing other content elsewhere that we're not doing that we could be doing? I think the thing is we're just always open to their feedback because that's who we're creating this content for primarily.
Yeah.
And that's the main goal, is that they're represented and enjoy it. And we find that the content that we cater towards them really branches into all of those broader audiences of parents and fans and alumni and prospective students. Because at the end of the day, we are a university.
Yeah, no, and you're constantly asking them what they want to see. I think you've said focus group them like about 5 times. I think that's super smart. That's really, really important. I constantly am telling people, well, have you asked the students? Because a lot of people don't think about that, and should be the first thing they do, I think.
It really is. And we've really focused on student generated content. When we have those kind of conversations, like, what do you want to see? And they'll be like, oh, I want to see more like internship or study abroad content. We're like, okay, are you studying abroad? Do you want to make content? Like, we always just are asking them. And those who want to be involved, like, jump at the chance. And they're like, yes, like, I want to make my own day in the life of, or I want to do a get ready with me. And we really try to let them like have that freedom to make it. And we provide some coaching and feedback and help them get it to a point where it's ready to go out on our channels. And I think, I mean, they usually always do well, but like the greatest success in that is that we had a student who came to us with an idea and felt heard and had an opportunity to execute it. And it always ends up doing so well because it's not me, a full-time employee, who's creating this content. It's so authentic to the student and their personal experience that it usually always does well.
Yeah, I agree with that. So is that a collaboration, or do you pay them per piece of content?
It's a collaboration, because oftentimes it kind of comes about like if we're already at shoots somewhere on campus and someone goes, oh, what's this for? And like, oh, it's for Eugene Social. And they're like, oh, I have this idea. And it kind of comes about that way. And so we don't really have to like advertise or like solicit or like try to get, we're not trying to like campaign to get students to be in content.
It sounds like you're out there and they they ask you what you're doing.
Yes, that is exactly. It all comes about very organically. And so, yeah, they get a lot of experience in that process of filming and editing their own content. We have kind of a guide for them on camera settings, best practices, and some examples of like, oh, you could do some like footage of yourself with your face in it, or get some B-roll footage, and like those kinds of like housekeeping things. So like take longer videos than you think you need to. It gives you room to work editing wise, and providing them with free resources. Like CapCut's a great resource to be editing on. It's free. It's an app. It's like the Canva video editing, that kind of stuff. So we provide them a lot of coaching, a lot of resources, and to work to kind of get that. And they're always really excited for it, which is so fun.
That sounds a lot of what I learned in my broadcast journalism classes, to tell you the truth.
A lot of overlap there.
I mean, it's the same thing. You're editing video, taking video. This has been so enlightening, Chloe. But I don't want to let you go before I ask you, since we are Confessions of a Higher Ed Social Media Manager. Chloe, what is your confession?
Okay, I'm going to out myself here. My confession is I have never downloaded TikTok. I've never had a TikTok account. I manage University of Georgia's TikTok account. That's the closest I've ever been to having a TikTok account, but I have never downloaded or used TikTok personally.
I love it because you ask your students for ideas, right?
I do.
That's the best.
I definitely do. It is. And yeah, maybe I should, but
I would say stick to your guns at this point.
I know. I don't. And now we have an intern who loves TikTok. And so I'm like, yes, let's use your expertise and the content you're consuming and we'll run with that. But yeah, that is my confession. I am a social media manager and I don't have TikTok.
I love it. I love it so much. Chloe, you are a wealth of ideas. I have learned so much and it has been an absolute delight talking to you. So thank you. Thank you for your time.
Of course. Thank you for having me. It was an absolute honor.
Confessions of a Higher Ed Social Media Manager is part of the Enrollify podcast network. If you like this podcast, chances are you'll like other Enrollify shows too. Our podcast network is growing by the month, and we've got a plethora of marketing, enrollment, and higher ed technology shows that are jam-packed with stories, ideas, and frameworks, all designed to empower you to be a better higher ed professional. Our shows help higher ed marketers and admissions professionals find their next big idea and feature a selection of the industry's best as your hosts. Learn from Jamie Hunt, Allison Tercio, Mallory Wilsey, and so many others of your favorite leaders in higher ed. Enrollify is made possible by Element 451, the leading AI-powered all-in-one student engagement platform, helping institutions create meaningful, personalized, and engaging interactions with students. Learn more at element451.com.